Every time I cut my hair, it gets like 5 inches shorter. I think I'm just trying to be cool, but I can't because I'm in my 30s. But I have to accept that. Hello, my dears. My name is Mariana, and welcome to my channel. So for all you witches out there watching this, I know that you want to know, what kind of witch are you? We all really love labeling ourselves, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a tricky thing, but sometimes it's a really beautiful thing. It allows us to really embrace the call that we feel from within. And we witches love to know, what kind of witch are we? And if you haven't seen my video on what kind of witch you are, there is a link here to watch that. It's a pretty good one. But today I want to talk about the kind of witch I am. So this term doesn't really exist. I'm making it up as of today, and I have the authority to do that because why not? If you've been hanging around here a little while, you may have heard me call myself a Jungian witch before. And that is exactly what I feel I am, but I want to broaden that a little bit and really call myself a psychospiritual witch. And psychospirituality is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's the mixture of our psychology and our spirituality. It's really blending the psychological experience with the spiritual one, and I really think they can't be separated. And us witches are spiritual people. We are really engaged in the divine. We're curious. We want to explore the mysteries. But we also know that the mysteries are within ourselves. And so I like to think psychospiritual witchcraft is actually more popular than we think it is. It's something that a lot of us may be exploring already, but don't necessarily know how to label. So I put together a list of 5 traits that I think encapsulate a psychospiritual witch. So stick around, check it out, and see if you are one too. So number 1, your witchcraft is about your individuation. Individuation is a Jungian term that means becoming exactly who we are, finding a sense of wholeness, finding that complete self, the full embrace of yourself. And when we think of individuation, we're not thinking about self-betterment. We're really thinking about self-completion, self-actualization, allowing yourself to become exactly who you really are. That means embracing your shadow stuff as well as your light stuff. This is why I think witches really are into shadow work, because they already instinctively know that this psychospiritual work is equally magical. So when you're doing your witchcraft, it's not so much what you can accomplish as what you can discover. And the process of individuation is a lifetime process, right? It's not something that we're just going to accomplish in a few years as we start our witch journey. So it's really something that we're committing to for our lives. And this is what religion is all about. You know, bad word alert, but when we engage in religion, we're committing to something through the length of our lives that'll guide us deeper into ourselves and guide us further into the embrace of the divine. And I think that's what we really should view our witchcraft as this embrace of God, the divine spirit, whatever you want to call it, that is simultaneously leading us into the core of who we really are. And so if you're practicing witchcraft in this way, maybe your witchcraft relies more on things like pulling cards or working with symbols to really kind of engage with the soul. Maybe it means doing some magic like lighting candles or working with herbs, but you understand these things to be representations of the parts of yourself you're trying to explore. As a psychospiritual witch, I still work with candles and sound and magical things because I know that these are ways for me to kind of get in touch with this sublime experience within myself, with that divine connection that needs external enhancement. So if I need to do a spell, I'm not necessarily going to be focused so much on the ingredients and the pieces and if it's the right color candle, as much as I'm going to be focused on what's my intention, what am I really trying to accomplish with this, and whether I get the spell right in the mundane or not. If it's right on the spiritual level, it's going to be good. Number 2, you understand and rely on the microcosmic-macrocosmic connection. So if you've explored any of my content on Hermeticism, if you've maybe attended one of my seminars or watched one of my videos, you know that the microcosm and macrocosm are this really fundamental way of understanding how magic works. In ancient times, there was this concept of the macrocosm, which is basically the cosmos, the heavens, God's domain, and then also the microcosm, which was the human person. Ancient philosophers believed there is an integral connection. There is a direct reflection of the macrocosm in the microcosm and of the microcosm in the macrocosm. This is the foundation for how astrology works and how alchemy could work and how all these magical practices could take effect. Because as you're working in the microcosm, manipulating materials, manipulating elements, that has a divine reflection in the cosmos. So when you're working with magic as a psychospiritual witch, you are aware that your microcosmic work is going to have macrocosmic effect. And also that you might need to call in the macrocosmic energy to have any influence on your microcosmic reality. A really good way of kind of understanding this is Jung's study of alchemy. So the medieval alchemists were trying to turn base materials into higher materials, usually lead into gold. And they had all sorts of symbolism and ways of describing this process that was really beautiful and really psychological. And as they were trying to do this magical act of transforming metal into something sublime, they were also witnessing their own transformation within themselves. And so the microcosm, their own human personality, their own human experience, was transforming with this substance in the alembic, with the actual lead that's becoming the philosopher's stone, which could maybe even give them immortality. And Jung really looked at these symbols and looked at this process and understood it to be the alchemists trying to understand what the psychospiritual experience of transformation really is. And so just like the alchemists, when we really rely, and so just like these medieval, New York. And so just like these medieval alchemists, when we rely on the micro-macrocosmic connection, we really understand that this bigger work we're doing is going to have a deep psychological effect, that we are going to be transformed just by trying to do the magic itself. This deepens our understanding of the astrological archetypes and the symbols that we use and what we engage with and what real meaning it has. Number 3, when you pray, it's to something within. Now, prayer can mean a lot of things, so don't click away just yet. Prayer can mean getting on your knees and praying to a god, or it can mean setting a little intention for yourself at the start of a yoga practice. Prayer, in its essence, is trying to communicate with some aspect of the divine. And when you're a psychospiritual witch, you understand that that aspect of the divine lives within you. And this doesn't mean that it's not also outside of yourself, right? Thinking about that microcosm and macrocosm, the cosmos without is also the cosmos within. And I pray all the time to things that are beyond myself. I pray in journals, or I'll say a prayer out loud. To really ritualize that is important for me. So I get out of my own brain sometimes and ask someone else for help. But I also know that where I'm directing that prayer is not up above to some invisible force beyond myself in the sky, but really the force that has always lived within me. And so I think that however you pray, whatever you focus on when you're engaging in divine communication, psychospiritual witches generally know that they're also speaking to the God particle that exists within. They believe in Jung's capital S self, the essence of God, the essence of the divine that is at the core of the mandala of the soul, the core of all of the pieces of who we are, that is us and beyond us at the same time. Number 4, you're really into archetypes. Witches love archetypes. It's just a fact. And if you're a psychospiritual witch, you know that archetypes are not just images. They're not just, pictures of different heroes and villains and princesses and dragons. You know that archetypes have a profound psychological effect, and you're very interested in what that effect is. And that being said, psychospiritual witches then also believe in the collective unconscious. So if you haven't heard me talk about the collective unconscious before, go watch this video, that's important. The collective unconscious is essentially the unconsciousness that we all participate in. It's the realm below our psyche where the archetypes live. And the archetypes are our experiences of our humanity. They're the images and modes of being that really define what it is to be human. They're really universal. They're beyond culture and time. And so as a psychospiritual witch, you tend to be really engaged in the collective unconscious. You tend to be really curious. When things happen in the world, you always kind of have that little radar up going, what archetype is at play here? You know that the archetypes are a part of your psychology, are a part of your experience, and also they exist in the gods and mythologies that we need to take in to really expand our witchcraft. You're really interested generally in depth psychology, in the psychology of the soul, how these archetypes have effect on us, how to dive into them, how to explore them, how to get educated in them. So usually psychospiritual witches are really into oracle cards and tarot cards because those are really the portals to enter that archetypal world. You're probably also really into synchronicity and understanding how the psyche reflects the things that happen outside of yourself. And synchronicity is another one. If you are really into synchronicity, if synchronicity is something that gets you a tingling and you know it's more than just seeing 11:11 on the clock, then I think you're definitely potentially a psychospiritual witch. And actually, I have yet another video on synchronicity and magic, and that's up here. I've done a lot of videos this year. So if you love any of these things, if any of these things kind of set you afire a little bit, then we'd be good friends, and you're probably a psychospiritual witch. Finally, the last one is that you're really into dream work. Dreams are essential to the psychospiritual experience. All of the depth psychologists really place a lot of emphasis on dreams. They believe that dreams really reflect our psychology, reflect our inner reality. In Jungian theory, dreams are the communication from the unconscious. It's the unconscious part of ourselves telling us what's actually going on in our hearts and our souls. And so as a psychospiritual witch, you know that the most profound portal to the unconscious, to communicating with that God within, that deeper self, is through witnessing your dreams and exploring them, being curious about them. This means that you're going to do a lot of work with your dreams. You're going to do witchcraft with your dream work. I kind of call it dreamcraft because I'm cute. But you're going to investigate the symbols that you find in your dreams. You're going to bring them to tarot readings and explore dreams as very valid things to kind of bring to the magical sphere. I have kept a dream journal. Wow, that is hard to say. I've kept one since 2013, and it has been one of the best practices that I've ever developed. I bring it to my analysis. In analysis with the Jungian, have been proudly since 2014. You should be too, if you want. And I also just reflect on it. I do research. Whenever an image comes to me, I take it seriously as an invitation from my unconscious to explore the archetypal realm, to explore what might be reflected in my unconscious right now, and also what magic can I do? So recently I had a dream about a white snake. And so I did all sorts of research about the white snake and the Ouroboros and what this could be representing for me. And then I also have brought that into my prayer, into my reflection, my active imagination, my visualization work. I've just tried to really bring that image into my craft and make it something that I focus on for a while because it's my unconscious delivering it to me. It's kind of the invitation that this is where I need work, on this image, on this energy. I might go through my tarot decks even and see if one of my tarot decks has that image on it, to see if there's a tarot resonance that I can connect, because I speak the language of the tarot. So if I find it, for example, on the Six of Wands, I might understand, it's connected to my sense of accomplishment in the world. So if you are interested in dreams, dream work, if that kind of is something that you're pulled to do, that is definitely a very important practice of psychospiritual witchery, and I think that you should get into it, explore it, keep a dream journal. That's all I have for you. Maybe you're a psychospiritual witch, and if you are, we should connect. You can find me over on Instagram for some daily wisdom and witchery, and you can subscribe right here to keep getting videos like this and explore your witchery and your sense of meaning and wonder and beauty and all good things. And if you're really interested in psychospiritual witchery, you should go check out my Patreon. I have a little community of patrons who get things like archetypal tarot meditations and access to my seminars and just good, beautiful offerings and a lovely community, and I hope to see you there. Okay, my darlings, have a beautiful, meaningful day. Next time you see me, I may be bald.